This video will demonstrate the correct way to access Part B of the module quizzes and the midterm, and Part C of the final, in which case the questions will be related to links to access specimens in Biolucida Viewer. And therefore, you cannot log into and take the quiz directly in Blackboard. So I'm going to get rid of this window, and I'm actually going to log out of Blackboard, and then I will minimize this window, and you see over here is my link to Biolucida Viewer, and this is what you will have on your desktop, and you will need to start that up. I'm going to move it out of the way so it won't be behind the window that's going to open up. So when Biolucida opened up, I have it now logged into a Chicago server. I have a number of clouds. You will only have two clouds. One is to access the histology lab, where you can study specimens. And if you set it up right, this is what you will see. And you will see specimens available to click and study in each of the labs. At some point, perhaps I'll make another video focusing on that. But what you want to do is to make sure that you open up the quiz and exam cloud that you set up. And this is what it would look like. And if you actually set that up before you close Biolucida Viewer, then when you open it next time, it will open to that cloud. I'm going to demonstrate that now. So I'm going to click on Biolucida Viewer to open it up. And you see it goes right to the cloud that I closed out on. So now we have within Biolucida Viewer, you see Biolucida Viewer up here, and we can now log into Blackboard, which I'm going to do with my student account, so I can demonstrate for you how you take Part B and of the quizzes and exams, Part C of the final. So bear with me while I type in my unique student access password. So I just did that, and now you see I'm here where I can access the course. I'm clicking on the course, and when I get to the course, I can do exactly as I did in accessing Part A. And what I would do is click on quiz and exam information, and we're going to go to the sample tests, and we're going to take Part B. And notice it's composed of 20 questions. Well, this is your chance now at the beginning of the course to practice interacting with virtual slides in a quiz, where you can zoom and pan, and you will get feedback each time you take. You can take these sample tests unlimited times. You can review them right afterwards, or you can go to my grades, as I'll demonstrate in another video soon that you'll be able to access. And you can review it, and you can see the correct answer, and you can see some text feedback that we have provided. I can't stress how important this is to do at the very beginning. I see I made a typo here. I'll correct that soon. It should be sample, of course. All right, so I'm going to click on this to access Part B. Now this test we've given 1 hour because you have 3 minutes per question when you're dealing with a question that is linked to a virtual slide. So I'm going to begin. And once again, we see the time that it's allocated is you have 1 hour to take this test. And I have 59 minutes, 51 seconds left. And I'm going to expand the question completion status so I can see the little box for each question number. Now notice, this quiz, the questions are only delivered one at a time. I'm going to do the same thing that I recommended before, go up here and expand this so that I have full, all the real estate on this window is my quiz. Okay, so now the next thing I need to do is to click on this link to access the virtual slide. So I'll click on it. Now, I don't know whether you noticed what happened, but a tab opened here. And you've got the specimen here, and the next thing you're going to have to do is to click on the little icon up here, which you can see are annotations. And that's where you'll find the question is duplicated. And I'm going to resize this. You want to make sure that this low power, the clicking on the little magnifying glass will bring up the low power, so that when you zoom in, you can see right where you are. You can slide this over and look at this. You can go back over here and look at this. If you want to go back to where we set the question position for the specimen in the question, go back to the original place, the magnification, the location. You click on the annotation and then go to. And that will take you exactly how we set it up on the question. So this is the same question now that is in Blackboard. You see right here. Two organs are presented, labeled A and B. Organ A is and organ B is. So we're going to want to type in here. Well, in this one, I'm going to give you the correct answer. Organ A is the spleen, and organ B is the liver. Now, during taking of a test with the virtual slides, you can use your thumb wheel on your mouse to zoom in up to 100%, like that. And as I said before, you can go back and forth between the images. You can also now return back to the original setting, and you can magnify by zooming in here this way or out. Just click like that to zoom in. Or if you want to, let's go back to the original setting. If you want to zoom in on a particular area, say you thought that this was a very important criteria for identifying this, then if you press down Z on your keyboard, then the cursor will change into a plus, a marquee, and you can define that and release, and immediately you're there. So you see we're at 41% of the full magnification of this specimen that you can go to. And the scale bar here, the white bar, is equal to 100 microns. So you can even move this, what amounts to be a small arteriole over here, and it's about 100 microns in diameter from one side to the other. Okay, so I'm going to go back here and I will type in the answer in Blackboard. So I'm going to say this is spleen on the left and liver on the right. Now that's going to save automatically when you click. See, it's saved already. It's grayed out. So if you go to question number 2, then when I click on question number 2, then the specimen up here is going to go to the specimen for number 2. You will not have multiple tabs open. So if I click on this, it's the same tab, but it is the specimen for this question. And there you have it in a box. Identify this organ based upon your observations of the histology within the box region. And again, going back here, it's the same question repeated. We don't give you the question number because in the Blackboard and in the virtual slide tab, because we can randomize the order of delivery of these questions, and that's why we don't do that. But all you have to do is make sure that that when you have clicked in that question on this link, you will have the image and the question that is linked to that question in Blackboard. So I'll put the correct answer to this one in. This identify this organ based upon your observations of the histology. So I'll take a quick look at this, and as you will learn, you look at the surface mucosa here, and I immediately recognize that this is stomach, and I see parietal cells and chief cells. I see the pits here, and they're lined with mucus-producing cells. So those are my clues. And I'll go back to the original magnification here and say, okay, this is the stomach. So I just simply type in stomach. Okay, now I'm not going to go through every question, but I highly recommend that you do that. And until you reach the last question, question 20 here, which I'm going to answer, you will not see the save and submit. You cannot submit this exam in this kind of format where the questions are delivered one at a time until you've reached the last question. Then you will see this button show up. Okay, so, but I'm going to do this one. And once again now, you see this is the image for the last question. So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we click on the link, which will bring up the image for the next question, which is this. And so the question is asking, identify the organ. A polyp is present within the dotted line. Well, this is colon. And I know this is colon because I look here and I see the mucosa and I see there are no villi. I see an enormous amount of goblet cells, all kinds of clues like that. I look out here and I see the muscle layer and I see a very thin or outer longitudinal muscle. But the big clues are here. But this is actually a polyp. This is an abnormal growth, which could be precancerous. And so we just circled that because it's interesting. And the rest of this is normal colon. But you see how I'm zooming in and I'm taking advantage. And once again, just to emphasize, if I press anywhere on the image and I click, or I push the Z key on my keyboard, and I want to look at this normal mucosa here closely, see how quickly that comes up. And my magnification is only 16%, and the scale bar is 150, and I can go right on up here to 100. Now you can do false magnification by continuing to press the Z key and go like that. But that, you might want to do that occasionally, but realize it's not going to give you no more detail. It just gives you what we call empty magnification. Okay, so I'm going to click this and go back to the original, and then I'm going to over here and I'm going to answer the question. Then I'm going to stop this video because I don't need to. I'm going to do one more thing. When I click on question number 11, which I'll also answer, and go, you notice how quickly I got back to question number 11. I verify it's question number 11 right here, and I click to access the virtual slide. Now I'm looking at the specimen, which happens to be appendix. Okay. And again, you're going to learn the features, the diagnostic features for distinguishing this part of the GI tract from, let's say, the small intestine, the colon, the stomach, the esophagus, and the anal region, and oral cavity, etc., etc. So I go back here. It just says identify the organ, so I'm going to put appendix. And I think I'll answer one more question and make it 14, and I will make sure that it's incorrect. So this asks identify the organ with the letter X. Well, that's trachea. So, but I'm going to put artery, so you can see what an incorrect answer will look like when we review it. Okay. So I'm going to now go to question 20. So I can save and submit this. And that's exactly what I'm doing now. I'm now out of the test. Now, one thing I didn't show on the Part A demo video is that you can go immediately, if we've given you the privilege, to reviewing something and getting feedback. Now, in the module quizzes, we'll give you a chance to look at them, but we only give you the question and we give you what you put in. If it's correct, you'll see it has a check mark or it's marked correct or get the points. But if you get it wrong, we don't give you the correct answer. We want you to go to the discussion board and post on the discussion board under the correct quiz forum or whatever, so that you ask questions and we dialogue with you and help you arrive at the correct answer, give you guidance. That's the way we teach you more out of the lectures and the lab study guide that you purchased. But I'm going to click here to say, okay, review the results. So when I do that, you see, we're actually allowing you to see all of the questions. Now, we answered the first question, so I can see a green check mark that I got it correct, and I got 1 out of 1 point. And the second one, I got 1 out of 1 point, you see. Here, I didn't even answer it, so obviously, but you're given the correct answer here, and you see the text feedback. Again, I highly recommend that you take and answer every question one time, go through, and then go back and try in a couple tries to get everything correct, but read carefully the feedback. You can even copy this out if you want, and then as you go through it, use that, because it will help you in gaining insight in how you should go about using some of the features that you're going to say. So that's the way you can go through each question and review it and get the feedback. Now, we don't provide this lengthy feedback in the case of the module quizzes, but this is for practice. So this is about a 16-minute video, but I think it's well worth carefully watching and listening and understanding. So now when I go out of this, and I'm not going to review it in my grades now. I'm going to leave that for another time. I'm going to restore the menu like this, like I showed you. And then we're going to stop the video now and go back to the default page. But again, we are logged in with Biolucida Viewer. There's one other thing I didn't show you. You can't log out of Blackboard in this present screen. But all you have to do, look up here. See where my cursor is? And you click on Home. And when you click on the little Home icon, then you have your chance to log out of Blackboard, which I highly recommend you do before you close the Biolucida Viewer, which I've done. Okay?